We have a guy up here that has an amazing story. I'm going to kind of lead him off here. You about ready to go here, Reg?
Yeah.
All right. So this is Reggie, right? Reggie, what's your sobriety date?
Well, first of all, my name's Reggie. Again, my sobriety date is 4/1/24, so I'm an April Fool.
There we go. There we go. Let's give it up. All right, so I'm going to kind of just start off the beginning for this guy. That way we can get to some questions here at the end. So Reggie and I spoke last night, and it's like perfect for our topic, faithfulness. So I wanted to say, Reggie, it started in 2019. You were in this toxic relationship. You were trying to quit. You were wanting to get out of alcohol. This relationship that you were in, you even went to AA meetings, and you said something to me. You said you were looking at the differences, not the
similarities.
Yep. Right? It
Yeah.
was something that you kind of like were being forced to do. You didn't want to be there. And, you weren't really ready. And then all of a sudden, it led to chaos, you and this girl. It lasted for a while, but you found yourself ultimately back home in San Luis. And then some things happened there. Why don't you start from there?
So when I got back home to San Luis Obispo, at this time I had entered into another relationship and was engaged to be married. That ended in January this year. So that was a disaster on my part. I was going to AA meetings, so we're going to rewind a little bit to March of last year. Went up to rehab in Fair Oaks did a 5-day detox and then did 27 days in like residential. Got out, came back home, immediately, went to the rooms of AA, picked up a service commitment in the first week, which was a secretary position on Fridays for the book Living Sober, So I do that for about 3 months, and during this 3 months, I'm showing up to meetings, I'm taking dirty chips, I'm sharing.
Explain dirty chips for everyone.
So for those of you that don't know what a dirty chip is, it's when you're not sober and you're still going up and taking like 30-day, 60-day, 90-day. So that was me. I took 30-day, 60-day, 90-day.
Yeah.
And, I even shared in meetings, drunk every day, telling pretty much everybody that was in the rooms nothing but lies, and I was believing it because I was so far in to my addiction at that point that everything that I said was a lie, and I believed everything that I was lying about, and so did other people. I sort of became like a master manipulator.
Right.
So I'm continuing to go to meetings. I get a sponsor. I'm working the steps, and as I'm working with the sponsor, I'm getting drunk every day. I'm still drinking, still working the steps, but in the back of my mind,
and the person you're engaged with,
I'm telling her, I'm sober. I'm going to meetings. Like, don't you see I'm going to meetings every day? I'm doing good.
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm not doing good. She was a nursing school student, so she's in school all day. While she's gone, I'm just getting drunk all day. And she comes home, and again, I'm lying to her. Yeah, I went to a meeting today. Yeah, it was great. Here's what I shared about. But I'm still drinking, still, doing drugs, doing cocaine as well, and a lot of cocaine, a lot. I'd say more than an 8-ball a day.
Right.
And this was throughout the 3 months. And just to kind of give you guys an idea of my cocaine use started in 2018 and ended last year in October. So when I first started doing cocaine, it was about 1 gram a day. Eventually worked my way up to like 8 balls and more. Won't go too far into depth about that. But again, I'm going to meetings, wanting to change, working through the steps.
Were you really wanting to, though?
No. In hindsight, no.
Yeah.
No, I didn't want to change at all. I wanted to keep doing what I wanted to do.
Right.
I wanted to work my program.
Your right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That didn't work out for me too well. It didn't work out at all. After 3 months, I sort of spiraled out of control. I went from like a daily functional alcoholic to like a daily blackout drinker, still going to work, telling my employer like I'm doing fine. And meanwhile, I'm like nodding out at work, drunk on lunch breaks. I'm going to the liquor store, which is like 2 or 3 businesses down, buying 4 or 5 shooters during lunch, knocking those back, going back into my shift, somehow getting through that, only to end my shift and get off and go sit at the bar where I worked to have more drinks. So it was bad. It was terrible.
And then it blows up, right?
Yeah, it blows up, like terribly blows up after about 8, 9 months. So
she finds out.
She finds out, and the reason that she found out is because I'm not really a good hider, but, I bought shooters, and I would hide them throughout my house. I'd buy half pints, hide them throughout my house. I would never throw them away. You would think that I would throw them away.
Left foil everywhere.
Yeah, left cocaine bags everywhere, foil. It was terrible. It was like really bad, to the point where like I would hide stuff and I wouldn't even remember where things would be hidden. So when she would find these things, I would tell her like, I don't know where that came from. And after a certain point, I don't know where that came from gets a little old.
Yeah.
And it got real old for her. So we ended up splitting up. She wanted me out of the house. I didn't want to get out of the house because I didn't have anywhere to go. So her mom was nice enough to let me stay there at the house in the spare bedroom. So I'm living, in a house with my ex-fiance, which is super awkward. Still drinking.
Yeah, now you're going hard. You're drinking.
Now I'm off the rails at this point, The tires are off
Were
the
you
car.
an angry person when you're drinking, or
No,
just
I was
like,
an isolator,
Yeah.
straight isolator. I never, I didn't share anything with anybody.
Yeah.
I never shared cocaine, never shared drinks, nothing. It was mine and not yours. And
Right.
if you had something, I wanted it. And you weren't
Sounds
able to
familiar.
have what I had.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm in the spare bedroom. This is going on for I lived in there for about 2 months. I ended up moving out to a neighboring town, Santa Margarita, which is about 15 minutes north of San Luis Obispo. I get my own place. I'm there for a month. So this is January of this year. And I got to a point where
it became chaos?
Chaos, absolute chaos. So
this is like the disease is kicking in.
The disease is fully kicked in.
Yeah.
And it had been kicked in. So just rewind a little bit. March of 2022, I started my own business, catering company. It started pretty well. When I first started, I was bringing in like $5,000 to $8,000 a month. And then I did one event, it blew up, and I became booked out every single day. So I went from making $5,000 to $10,000, $12,000 a month, every month. And I never saw any of that.
Yeah.
I maybe saw like $1,000 every month.
We talked about how this was, the insanity?
Yeah, the insanity. All the money that I made went to drugs and alcohol. So in the first year of business, I made over $100,000, and I didn't see like 15,000 of it. I blew it all on.
You were also working too, right? Did you have?
Yeah. So I didn't have money somehow, but I was making incredible money. So I went to go work for somebody else.
The insanity.
Yeah, insane, right? So I went to go work for somebody else in Pismo Beach. I was there maybe 3 months. I ended up getting fired because they found out that I was, a functioning alcoholic that performed really well, but also didn't perform well at all. I was in a management position. So once they found out that I was an alcoholic, they were like, you got to get out of here, pal. So I got fired, didn't collect unemployment. I took my last paycheck, which was about $2,200.
Right.
And with that $2,200, I bought as much alcohol and as much cocaine as I could. And I went home and I barricaded myself, we'll call it, in my house. I didn't come outside. The only time I would go outside was to walk down the street to the liquor store.
Right.
When I ran out of alcohol.
So you're broken pretty much at this point.
I'm destroyed at this point. Destroyed.
And then something happens, right?
Yeah, something happens. So I get down to, out of the $2,200 I had and all the alcohol and drugs that I consumed in a month, that whole month I don't really remember anything.
Yeah.
I don't remember too much. I don't remember a lot, just pure blackout. But I remember getting down to like $100. I had went out and bought a pint. I destroyed that. And this is evening time, about 7, 8 o'clock. So I decide to, for some reason, get in my car and go buy more alcohol.
Right.
So all the, in the town of Santa Margarita, it's real small, maybe like 500 people, one liquor store. The liquor store was closed, so I had to go to the neighboring town, which was an 8-mile drive.
So you're just driving loaded.
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 I'm driving on a dark back road.
Not only harm to yourself, but harm to others.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, harm to everyone around me.
Yeah.
I remember getting in the car, driving on this dark-ass back road. Speed limit's 50, 55. I remember I'm doing like 90, 95. Reckless. So I get maybe like 4 miles outside of town and 4 miles to where I need to go. I end up like coming up to a kind of a curve, and I was hauling ass. So I'm driving way too fast, and I like take the turn, and for some reason like I overturned. So the truck ends up like going off into a like an embankment.
I think we have the picture. Kristen, you want to show? So you get in a car wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the truck, I end up landing, like going down into an embankment. The truck does like a barrel roll. I remember because like I was like upside down.
Right.
Land on all fours. Went through this is on a ranch owner's property.
Yeah.
I went through a fence post, which is the fence, which is came through the driver's side. Missed my head by like a couple of inches.
You're lucky to be alive.
Yeah, lucky to be alive. I land on all fours, and then I end up hitting a tree.
So you hit this tree. Thank God you're alive. Thank God nobody else got hurt.
Yeah,
okay?
thank God I'm
And then,
alive.
Kristen, you want to show the next picture real quick? Right? So you have this sticker, right,
Yeah,
on your
so
on your truck.
The airbags are blown out. Every window in the car is smashed, cracked, shattered.
And
The
show
back
everybody
window-
what's around your neck, too.
Yeah, the back window is completely shattered. And the only thing that makes it out is that AA sticker.
Right.
So I wear this little AA pendant
Yeah.
on my neck.
So, right? So this thing, looking back now, what was this moment like?
Looking back, I don't really remember too much of the entire ordeal.
But seeing
is
this
the next
sticker,
day.
yeah, next
this
day.
is the next day. I go back and get all my crap out of the truck that I could, and I walk to the back and I see this sticker, the AA emblem, being the only thing that made it out. And so, just to give you guys a little like precursor to why that's so important, 3 or 4 days prior to this accident, I remember testing God. I sat in my room and I said, God, if you're real, you'll show me that you're real, because I really want to change. At this point, I was on a 9-month bender, like a sick one, for 9 months. And I get to that point where, I'm over it. I don't want to die, but I also don't want to live. You know what I mean? I'm tired of living the way that I live. I'm tired of being a functional drunk every day. I'm tired of hurting my family, friends, everyone around me that cares about me when I don't care about myself at this point in life. So 3, 4 days prior to this accident, I'm talking to God. If you're real, you're show me that you're real. And then this ends up happening. So
You see this sticker.
yeah, when I saw that,
Now it's a moment of clarity.
moment of clarity, and I also lost it. That was the first time I cried in maybe 2 or 3
Yeah.
years.
Beautiful.
So that same day I take these pictures. I just posted pictures on Facebook. I don't put any caption at all. I didn't put hey, I got in an accident because I was driving drunk. I didn't put anything. I just posted the pictures. And
Who reaches out to you?
an 8th grade teacher reaches out to me. This is a lady that's been in my life for longer than 8th grade. We've known each other since before 8th grade. Her son was actually an alcoholic and an addict who just died about 2 years ago here in Fresno. So she reaches out to me through Messenger, and she tells me about this place called Teen Challenge.
Teen Challenge. We rep them, yeah. Teen Challenge is
Valerie
solid.
knows about Teen Challenge. I didn't do a year and a half. I did 40 days at Teen Challenge.
It's all right. It's good. It's okay.
For those of you that don't know what Teen Challenge is, it is a 1-year Christian life school program. So,
But what
you
happened
have
there?
Nothing other, there's nothing else to do there.
Yeah.
But read your Bible, go to chapel, worship, pray, and go to bed.
Right.
And eat.
Right.
So, like I said, I was only there for 40 days, but within that 40 days, that's where I kind of
Number
found
40,
God.
by the way. All right, the
Yeah,
number 40.
it's a pretty special number.
It's a great number.
In that 40 days, that's where I really found God, because I didn't have time for anything else but to sit and find myself and find God. And for the first time in my life, I've always been in church, but for the first time in my life, I felt what's called the Holy Spirit. It's real. It's real.
And what was the one book that really touched you?
The one book that touched me the most is the book of James. So there's
What did you learn?
66
Yeah,
books
there
in
you
the Bible, and in the 40 days that I was there, I read 40 books in the Bible. So that's a book every day. And if anybody in here knows or reads the Bible, those books are not short.
So would you say that in this experience, this is kind of where you found like God would be at the center of all your relationships?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely felt that God needed to be at the center of everything, because without God, I would not be here. You know, like I strongly believe that. Without putting Him first, I don't know where I'd be. I probably would be dead right now, honestly. And I go to meetings and I share that. Like if you know, like I should be dead. I don't know why I'm still walking, but
I think we
things
know
don't
why.
happen by accident. Things happen for a reason. I firmly believe that.
So
The
you
reason
end
that-
up at now you're at Touchstone, correct?
Yeah, so I do 40 days at Teen Challenge, and then I got out of there. It was too much for me. Nothing wrong with it. So I got there April 1st, did 40 days. May 10th, I reached out to My Time,
Okay.
because My Time had came out to Teen Challenge to a chapel service. They brought a couple guys out there, so I noticed that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give My Time a call and see what they say. So I call My Time. They don't take my insurance, but the guy at My Time's like, hey, yeah, you know, I'll forward your information to this guy named Mike at Touchstone. So I was like, okay, cool. I leave a voicemail for Mike for him to call my dad, because in Teen Challenge, you only get one 15-minute phone call a week if you're lucky. So Mike ends up calling my dad back on May 11th. It was a Friday. So I end up leaving Teen Challenge on that Friday. I call Mike. Mike, you know, Mike had everything set up for me. He just asked that I send my driver's license, insurance information, and I'd be into Touchstone that Monday, which was May 13th. So May 13th, I got into Touchstone.
Right on.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Touchstone?
Touchstone's probably the best thing that's ever happened in my life.
Excellent. Yeah. Right on. So what is the one, we're going to wrap it up here quick. What is the one thing you've learned at Touchstone?
The one thing that I've learned at Touchstone, and I think this came before Touchstone, is, you know, all that I need to have is faith the size of a mustard seed. Matthew 17.
Yeah.
20.
Kristen, you want to put that scripture up for him? It's Matthew. Yeah, explain this. Oh, you didn't get the Matthew one? Okay.
So, it basically what it says in that verse is, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, from here you can move mountains, and anything is not impossible. You can do
Right.
whatever you want. All you need to have is a drop of faith.
Just a drop of faith.
Yeah. So the way that I translated that out, and you touched on it as we opened this meeting today, for those of you that don't know how plants grow, I'm a chef, so I love plants. I love herbs, spices, all that good stuff. You plant a seed about 2 or 3 inches under dirt, right? And you water it. It takes a while for anything to pop up, but before it starts growing up, it grows down and under.
All the roots.
Yeah. And then
Nobody
you start to
sees the
see-
roots.
No, you don't see the
It's
roots.
in the dark.
You just keep watering it.
Yeah.
You keep
And they're
watering it.
fighting.
You keep watering it.
Yeah.
So the water for me throughout this time has been, you know, meetings, Touchstone, community, and now, you know, I'm starting to like grow a little flower. It's not big. It's like a little bud. The biggest thing for me, though, since I've been in Touchstone, is the community that I've built, and that consists of 5 people. One of the first persons that I encountered when I got to Touchstone was Casey. She was the first person to say anything to me. And then I get to Touchstone that same day, and I see this guy wearing a Pistons jersey or something Detroit related. So I look at him, and I'm like,
Who's this lunatic?
Detroit Lions fan or something? He was like, hell yeah. I'm like, all right, this guy's okay. And then I told him that my dad's a Lions fan. And from there, you know, this guy, Julian, He's been like the older brother that I've never had, you know, sober. And it's it's probably the relationship that I have appreciated the most, because when I met Julian, Julian was hanging out with Marcos, Stevie, Vanessa, and those are the people that
That's your tribe.
That's my tribe. And then Greg came in not too long after, a couple days after I did.
Right.
So we brought Greg in. We're like, get in here, dude. You're with us now. So I've hung out with these 5 people this entire time, and we all work a solid program. We all hold each other accountable, and we're having fun sober. You know, like, I've never been able to have fun sober. I started doing drugs when I was 11.
And you're starting to enjoy it. What if you could leave here before we start asking questions? What's the one thing that you would say to any newcomer, right, that is looking to find what you have? What would you tell them?
Just don't lose hope in yourself. Keep the faith alive. Even if you don't believe that, even if you tell it to yourself and you don't believe it, keep that faith alive. Keep the hope alive. One of my favorite scriptures that I put into everyone's coin during coin outs
No, Job. This was
Touchstone,
Jeremiah.
at Touchstone is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, plans to give you hope and plans to give you a future. So with a little bit of hope, you know, there's potential for a huge future for you. All you need to have is hope. That's it.
Yeah, give it up.